All right, hello and welcome to another episode of 360 of Me. My name is Kimberly McLemore. I am the host, and today, as you can see, I decided to travel outside of my own environment, and we are doing another amazing show for you today. And I got a special guest that I'm going to bring on board. I'm actually here at their location and excited that we are going to be chefing it up in here today in their beautiful home. So let's bring on here Mr. Chris Chavez, who is the chef and the owner of Chris's Dishes. How are you today,
Good, how
Chris?
about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad that I got the opportunity that we could get together again because you have been to my home, you and your lovely wife, and we're gonna jump her in here real quick too so we can introduce, come on in here. And this is the Director of Operations, Miss Jen Chavez of
Hi.
Chris's Dishes. So I'm just excited.
I'm more excited. I love having you in our home.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, and I'm just excited for the fact that we all get to do something unique and different for the new year. The things that I wanted to talk about and focus on for the month of January is the fact that, hey, it's all not just about doing New Year's resolutions. It's really truly about doing a new vibe, a new year, and new goals, but actually sticking to those goals.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's the key. So the thing about this January theme is all really about making changes that are not about perfection, but being continual changes, but as well as doing healthy changes. So today we're going to be talking about some healthy eating, but it doesn't have to just be healthy and not, gourmet looking and not, fun. And so Chris is going to show us all these things. But before we get started, I would love for you two to truly tell your story. What is the purpose? Why and how did you go from being this combat hero to all of a sudden the man behind the stove, chefing it up, okay, you guys? And I know they can cook. I've had the good food, so we'll talk about that more later. So tell us a little bit about your story.
First, let me say thank you for Chris's Dishes, myself, my wife, and my team that we have, and we'll talk about it here in a minute. But really, I'm no hero. I mean, all of us out there, we just did our job day to day. I'm a 20-year veteran of the United States Army, 6 tours of combat, 2 to Iraq, 4 to Afghanistan. I started Chris's Dishes based off of this one here, saying I should probably go to culinary school because I tried different types of therapies to help me with things from being downrange in Iraq and Afghanistan, and nothing was working. I always found myself in the kitchen cooking all the time. I fought tooth and nail to go, and I ended up going, and I will say that it was one of the best decisions of my life. Not only has this helped me and still continuing a service to other people, but also I do have a service dog that whenever we're out shopping for clients' ingredients or we're sourcing things for clients, he's usually tagging along. Not so much when I go to their houses because has helped me and it keeps me centered and focused. Chris's Dishes was kind of founded on the idea of a friend at a golfing event, and he asked me to do a private dinner for him in his home for his wife and his 2 kids. And I will preface this now, I've come a very long way, but there was a lot of lessons learned from that event, and now it's grown to us being able to help other veterans out, family members, because we are combat disabled, veteran owned, operated, and family supported. So like my wife is the Director of Operations, but we hire other family members to do events. We don't have an overhead. We don't have a restaurant. Our restaurant is your kitchen, your home. And when I say your kitchen, we've done everything from cabins to Airbnbs, VRBOs, yachts, you name it. If there's fire and a couple pans, we can cook at it.
Exactly, and I can testify to that because I had a book club back in last year in September, and had you come and do this fantastic. I mean, they still talk about that event that day of being able to have like a brunch for my book club, and it was just amazing. Actually got to the point where it was like, look, they were saying, oh, can I just take some of this food home? I'm like, no, this is my food, okay? But so that just goes to testify and show that having to be able to have that gourmet opportunity within your home, the environment was comfortable for everybody.
Absolutely.
And everything was fresh, made on the spot. I mean, it was just wonderful. So I'm just so excited about being able to share this, with my viewers and listeners so that they can understand that, like I said, you can still have that beautiful opportunity of having somebody in the environment and making those things fresh for you, but they're healthy. And the thing that I want you to talk a little bit about is how you guys, when you make your food, you guys look at the fact that on the healthy side about the gluten and all that, gluten, everything is gluten free.
Yep.
And most people don't realize that when you're doing gluten free items, they think of it as being nasty and gosh, why did I be eating this crap, right? But the reality is you would never know the difference. And that's something I want you to kind of explain to people why you do what you do in that perspective.
So the reason we tend to want to, what's the term I'm looking for? We tend to want to focus on people's food preference as well as allergies, because many of you, like my wife, she does have celiac disease. So we go to a restaurant and it's question after question. It's like playing 1,000 questions with the servers, the chefs, the line cooks to figure out, hey, what is in there that's going to get her sick or any of you sick. When I started going to culinary school back in 2017, mind you, that yes, I've only been doing this for about 5 years, but my goal was to make sure that not only my wife and my clients who have allergies can have bread, they can have pastas, they can have homemade gnocchi, they can have pappardelle, they can have a sourdough boule, or they can have a baguette with whatever their meal is, and we can make it right there in front of them and show them that, there are ways to enjoy a healthy lifestyle and not get glutened, if you will. And everybody who knows what that term means, you know what I'm talking about. Today, actually, we're not doing anything with any type of gluten products or any non-gluten products. We're actually going to be doing, so we're going to do a Cornish hen that is pan-seared and roasted in the oven with a parsnip and cauliflower puree and some toasted almonds and roasted carrots. Yep, roasted carrots.
All right. Okay, so before we dive into all of that, I'm going to give Jen an opportunity. If there's anything else that you would like to say?
No, I really, Kim, thank you for being in our home. Love having you here. Obviously, I love watching your videos and how impressive you are in the way that you communicate with your audience, and it truly is moving. And to your point also, and as Chris mentioned, living a healthy lifestyle does not mean you have to sacrifice anything. It's about choices, it's about spices, it's about seasoning, it's about thinking outside of the box, and everything that we do is meant for those of us like me who I don't cook, I don't enjoy it, so to be able to
yes, I cook all the time.
Love it when a man can cook, okay? We love it, okay? Go.
I don't know. Of all of my gifts in life, cooking was not one. But it is nice to know that I don't have to be, trained in French cuisine in order to put together a healthy, delicious, and beautiful meal for my family. So.
Right. Exactly. All right. So what we're gonna do is that, like Chris said, he's gonna be doing some live cooking for us, so you guys can get a better understanding and why he uses the quality of items that he does and how he cooks it. And I'm gonna step aside for just a few minutes because I'm gonna stand over here and watch him cook. And then guess what? Y'all ain't gonna get the opportunity to enjoy the eating that we get to do later too. But in the meantime, go ahead, Chris, and why don't you just explain your kind of step-by-step process and why you do what you do. And we're gonna just stand aside here and watch it. Now we'll be asking questions from the side. Hey, Chris, what is that? Okay.
So one of the biggest things, the reason why I do this is to continue service. So being in the Army for 20 years and doing the things that we did downrange, it just, the level of fulfillment for serving people and doing a different type. Now this is just a different type of service, and it's very rewarding to put something on a plate. And actually, let's back up. Start by getting with the client and then we develop menus that are personal to them. There's no set menus and this is what you have to pick. None of that. We do everything. Now, if I cannot do Indian food. I will not cook Indian food. I am not the Indian food expert by any means whatsoever. But we do all locally sourced, where we will go out to different farms, farmers, fisheries, hatcheries, shrimp, you name it, we try for it. And we go as far as, mostly try to stay within Virginia, Maryland, and D.C., but we have ventured out to like Vermont and Key West and California. We've done other dinner parties, but not only that, but to actually source different items, because you can't get a lobster in Virginia, but you can get shrimp. A lot of people don't know that. Wow. We use farms as close as 6 miles down the road to right in you know, we're working on getting certified to grow in our backyard to bring those foods to our clients. So today we're doing something very simple. We're going to do a spatchcock Cornish game hen with a mushroom pan sauce, a cauliflower and parsnip puree, toasted almonds, and then roasted carrots. Yes, all that just came all together in one. But I'm going to show you how to do some very simple things and tell you some cost savings because I know out there today we all need to save a little bit of a buck. So first, what I got going is everything's preheated. My oven's preheated to 425. My pan's getting going kind of like nice and ripping hot here in a minute. And then in this pan here, I have half and half sage, rosemary, thyme, and now I'm gonna put the parsnips as well as the cauliflower in there and let them steep, because what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna put those into the blender and puree them just a little bit. So everything's all pre-prepped here. Let me get this in the bowl without trying to burn myself. Now, once you get everything in the bowl, it's okay just to churn it up just a little bit just to get it all nice and soft. This is actually going to cook most of the time in which the chicken's going to be cooking too. So while that's going, we're going to work on the chicken here. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to spatchcock 2 Cornish hens and put them into the vessel here, and then we're going to throw it into the oven. It's going to be very simple. There's not anything crazy where we're going to ferment it or anything. We're not doing any of that today. So here I have 2 Cornish hens. They've been sitting out at room temperature for about 30 minutes. During that time, we salted them to try to get some of the moisture out. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to cut the backbone out of it and lay it flat. That's called spatchcocking. So we're going to do that here. I'm going to move over.
I gotta say, if you need me to move things around for you, just let me know.
I'll move over here just a little bit. And my director of operations, aka the wife, is taking some pictures. So I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to get those up and on the page here for my Chris's Dishes guys. So spatchcocking is nothing more than taking a pair of shears and cutting on the outside of the backbone. And while you're doing this, make sure, please wear gloves, because you don't want to have any chicken goo on your hands. So here, this is the backbone taken out. What you can do with this, honestly, too, is you can actually keep this, put it into some tinfoil, put it in your refrigerator, and the next day you can make chicken stock with it. You can use your remainder of your, what am I looking for? The trim from your parsnips as well as your carrots to make your stock, and a little bit of the onions as well.
You're your bowl, chef.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
It's always good to have the director of operations know everything that you need at one time without having to think about it. Like, oh, he needs that. There we go. So Chris's Dishes, when I said family supported, we hire other family members that are either active duty retirees or veterans, and you know, we will train you to do things if you need it. I mean, we have ones that are used for doing some things like bartending, pouring wine, or even serving. And it's just simple little things like that. Nothing crazy, nothing like, hey, we're gonna put you in the back with my chefs and you know everybody's gonna work. So we're gonna do about 2 tablespoons of oil, and we use avocado oil just because we like the taste better. And then we're gonna do about a tablespoon of butter into the pan here, and we're gonna let that start to sizzle and work itself around. So during that time, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna let it sit, check everything out, and then we're gonna probably get asked a whole bunch of questions here.
Exactly. So before you get started with everything, you know, watched you cut up this chicken so elegantly. So for those who don't know how to really cut up a chicken, what do you recommend? Because not everybody goes out and buys scissors. So what is another quick way and tool that they can use in order to cut that chicken up?
So scissors is just the easiest way to use to like spatchcock a chicken or cut it up. Traditionally, you're supposed to use a chef's knife or a boning knife to do that. A boning knife has a type of curve to it, like this, and is a little bit bendy, if you will, not too much.
Oh, okay.
You'll see chefs on TV like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, cut this and do this and so on and so forth. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't really know how to do that. I mean, it's really not that hard. But this spatchcocking a chicken is probably the easiest way to get it flat and get the most desired effect. Because what we're gonna do here now is, because you can kind of hear the sizzle going, and we're trying not to burn the butter, but adding oil to your pan with the butter will help without burning. So this here is a spatchcock chicken. It's got the backbone taken out, so you can lay it flat. Okay. So now, since my pan is nice and hot, and don't be afraid to get in there. You know, I got it. Oh my God, it's gonna burn me. Yeah, you have splatter, but I get it all the time, and I'm kind of used to it now. So what we're gonna do is we're letting the fat render from the chicken skin, and we're gonna leave it there and make sure that your pan is nice and hot. So this is gonna take about 40 minutes to cook in the oven, 30-40 minutes, but we're gonna do something a little different, because on the back side of this, when we get ready to pull it out, we're gonna pull the chickens out, let them rest, and we're going to make a pan sauce out of that. But we're gonna add mushrooms to this already, because I want the mushrooms to get flavored with the chicken or the Cornish hens that's in here. And it's not gonna take away from it.
Well, can I ask what type of a pan you have? Because I know that you were preheating literally way before we actually started communicating and doing this video. So what type of pan is it, and why would you preheat that long?
So this is a casserole pan, and I'll hold up here in a minute. Casserole pans are typically used to make actually casseroles, because everybody thinks that the long 9x13 is a casserole pan. That's really a dish. The casserole pan, this is something that is designed to either braise or to pan sear, and you can put it into the oven.
Okay.
So as far as preheating it that long, the only reason why I did that was because we were talking. Normally what I would do is I just actually take the pan and I turn it on high, let it get warm real quick, and throw all my stuff into it. So now what I'm going to do is kind of do like the brick method without a brick. And the reason is because, again, today in this day and age, we're trying to show you guys how to save a little bit of money. So here I have a cast iron pan wrapped in tinfoil, and I'm going to put it right on top. Now, mind you, there's a lot of people who ask this question. The tinfoil has two sides, right? The shiny side and the dull side. If you put something in the oven where you have to cover the item, always put the shiny side down. The shiny side will reflect the heat away from what you're cooking. The dull side will help keep it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'll press down as hard as I can.
How hot is that on your fingers?
Yeah, it's not hot. No. It hasn't even gotten hot yet.
You are brave. This is a brave chef.
All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have my lovely director of operations.
And before you jump and dive and pick up something, look, I'm gonna tell you guys, this man is brave. I'm standing in the background watching all this happen, and I'm thinking, he ain't gonna have no fingers, but we're gonna let him do his thing again. Go ahead, Chris.
I will. So, funny story is I was actually at an event this past weekend, and we were talking, the client and I were talking, and the family was sitting there watching everything, and they were asking questions, and I said something, and I reached in the oven and I turned the pan, and she's like, can't you feel anything? I was like, no, I mean, you get used to it. It's really, I mean, it is hot, but, you know, over time, and she went to put her hands in the sink to wash something. It was like a little baby's cup, and she's like, I see what you mean, chef. Can't feel anything in your hands. I was like, sorry. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this over the oven as it's sizzling away. Turn this down here, and we're gonna put it inside 30 to 40 minutes. So while that's going on, what we're gonna do next is I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of the preparation that we did for the carrots. So these are the carrots in which we're going to be roasting off here very shortly. They're kind of cute, you know, slender, and they're cut with the tops on. And yes, everybody, the tops are edible. We're actually gonna use that part as the garnish today. So with the carrots here, put my glove on. And going back to your trim, if you're gonna use it for anything, this is probably be the best way. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna use my peeler. I'm gonna peel everything right into the bowl here because I'm gonna make chicken stock later. So we'll do that, trying to keep within the camera here.
We do appreciate that.
So as you, I mean, you just peel the carrot just like normal, and then we'll get to the really kind of cool stuff here in a minute. I know it doesn't seem like it's.
And the other thing I want to focus on too is that I love the tools that Chris is using. So he's explaining all the steps and what it takes and what tools you may want to have in your home if you're trying to be your own gourmet chef, because we all know we try to get there, and there's nothing wrong with learning and understanding what the process is. If you don't have them, there's also other ways that you can, obviously, take the skin off of this carrot, but we got the best in here.
So the funny thing about that is you don't really have to necessarily peel the carrot. So what you can do is you just run it under cold water, get this, clean it off, but you get a green scouring pad that you use typically to clean a surface, a clean one, please. Use a clean one, like a brand new one. It's happened. And then you can just scrub the outside of the surface and it will get within the crevices of the skin of the carrot.
Oh, wow.
So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna just do a little bit of, one of those fine dining things to make it look very cute and petite. So you take your paring knife and then you're going to start to scrape up or down, just depending on how this carrot wants to play today. And we're kind of like pulling away at all the top layer of gunk there.
And all that is dirt, right, Chef?
Yeah, dirt.
Okay.
Little bit of exposure to the elements. And it doesn't take anything. You just go around just a little bit. And then when you're done, just run under a little bit of cold water. And there you go. And that's hot. So then all you have to do is slice it down the middle. And then now we're gonna add a little bit of oil to our pan. And then we're gonna probably give it about a few minutes, and then we're gonna throw it into the oven with the chicken so that they come out almost at the exact same time to be done.
So let me ask a quick question. So when you put it on the pan, everything on the stove here, and then you immediately put it in the oven, why do you not continue to saute it on the stove?
So it's because it's fully cooked and you want to let it rest. So typically, restaurant trick. So what we'll do is we're going to pull it out of the oven. We're going to temp it to about 155, 160. Then we're gonna let it sit for about 8 to 10 minutes covered, and then it's gonna continue to cook. That way you can actually take it out and it's gonna be perfectly done. Juices are still gonna be inside. No, nothing to worry about.
And I do have another quick question.
Yes.
So a lot of people today are using the air fryers, and now a lot of the air fryers, like I have a PowerX grill. And so those PowerX grills actually do everything that an oven does. Can they still do the same things you're doing by utilizing the oven, by utilizing an air fryer?
So I'm not gonna lie to you. Mm-hmm. I do not own an air fryer.
Okay.
My wife would say that I'm a traditional chef.
Okay.
With a little bit of science nerdy stuff. I recently just got into using a Instapot, and it's actually kind of been very hard for me. She brought it home. I was like, that's the thing that tried to kill me in Afghanistan. She's like, stop. I was like, no, seriously. I have not really got into air frying. From what I've been told and what I've heard in and around the community, the restaurant community, it can do the same thing. Mm-hmm. But there's certain things like putting a pan inside of it. I don't think you'd be able to do that. Let me check. To each his own, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to shy away from it if I ever get one to try it, but I don't know. I've never used one.
Okay. No, but I mean, that just, it's a great answer, because today everybody assumes that they are utilizing these new tools. And I can tell you, in my house, you see, I'm a PowerX grill forever, okay? I love the stove, but I like to be able to have the option to do both, especially when I want to do something very quick. But I guess the key is, too, will it taste the same? I think those are some of the things that people start to think about if they're going to be using those type, air fryers.
So I will tell you, I got into the Instapot because of listening to another podcast, Chefs Without Restaurants, Chris Spieler, shout out. And he had a certified master chef, Rich Rosendale, on there, and he kind of asked the same question, almost the same question about different tools within the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And he said, I recently got into using Instant Pot. I was like, God dang, I gotta try this. But the reason is because it actually, an Instant Pot fortifies flavor. So it pushes the exact flavor from what you're cooking into it, if that makes sense. So
okay.
if you take it's going to amplify. Probably should have said amplify versus fortify. It's amplifying the flavor of what you're trying to cook, mm-hmm. and bringing a lot more of those essence of, a carrot or a butternut squash, a piece of chicken, a venison shank, whatever it is. So
okay.
I've gotten used to it. I kind of like it. I mean, I use it at some of my clients' dinner parties where we've done a butternut squash bisque in it, where I can just quick mise up and prep everything, dump it in there, and turn it on, and then I can go about and doing other things within the kitchen during that time.
Okay.
To take a Vitamix or a immersion blender, puree it up, and I mean, I can do up to 25, 30 people with that thing for a soup.
In an Instant Pot?
And it's delicious.
Wow.
We have a very big one.
I'm sorry, wait a minute.
A very big Instant Pot.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I guess now, while this is going on, we're just kind of waiting on the chicken and the puree here to get soft. We're gonna prep some things for our pan sauce. Just dicing up an onion, and then the herbs that go with it, and then we can bon appetit here shortly.
All right, sounds good. Well, that we're going to be getting close to the end, but we're going to go ahead and finish out these pieces. And of course, when we get to the end, we will definitely show you guys some photos of what everything looks like once it's all completed. And then we're also going to be taking photos of us eating it. So
everybody likes to watch other people.
Yeah, I love to be able to just shove that in everybody's face. I mean, I know it sounds terrible, right? But at the same time, it also shows the appreciation of what is being done, in this kitchen. And like I said, everybody's kitchen can become a chef, but when you don't have the time or the will or know-how in order to do these things, this is the person you need to be hiring in order to have this beautiful opportunity to first of all taste their food, but also make your home like a restaurant for your company, whether it's or for you personally. And I'm sure with the holidays, a lot of people are thinking, I wish I had Chris during that time frame, right?
I was grateful.
Absolutely.
I know you were. I should have been over here during the holiday season. Because I'm trying to, do my own thing, but, anyway. So I hope you guys are enjoying this episode so far. And like I said, things are moving along. And Chris is preparing and cutting up some onions over here. And then he's going to continue moving forward. And I will let him continue communicating with you all about what he's doing.
Try not to get a whole bunch of half and half all over the stove right now.
So right now we're just kind of mincing the onions just to get them down to a nice, mouth feel for when they're cooked down and within the pan sauce, because we don't want to have any large chunks within our pan sauce. I didn't even know she turned the camera. I wasn't paying attention there, was I? So,
but we got to see your skill sets with the chopping.
That's always a fun one when people, when I'm hired at clients' houses, they always sit there and love watching me dice something or chop something up, because they're like, why is he not looking at us and not paying it? Why is he paying attention to what he's doing? He's looking at us, and just like I'm like doing this. So.
Beautiful.
So Chris's dishes, we do travel. We like traveling to different areas, different events, and we try to use locally sourced groceries or different farmers and purveyors just to help with your meal, because we want you to have what comes from your place. So good examples, we went out to Deep Creek, Maryland, and we did some stuff out there. We used a couple farmers out there, and it was great for the event. So now that we get that all diced up, we're gonna actually move on to the herbs here, if you will. And yes, I did say herbs, because I'm one of those. Actually, And I guess the benefit of knowing your own kitchen is you know where everything's at. And brings me to another point. So when we do events, we send out client questionnaires, and we get a feel for what your interests are for your evening or your day or whatever you're trying to do. And we ask a lot of questions, and we develop the menu based off of the client questionnaire and things that you feel and that we talked about. We try to do things where we don't want you to ask us to make a grilled piece of chicken and potatoes, because you can go to any other place and get grilled chicken and potatoes. We want you to be adventurous. And when I say adventurous, like we're getting ready to do an event where we're doing a bison tartare. And you would think bison, where do we get bison in Virginia? Well, in Culpeper, Virginia, there's a Virginia Bison Company. It's the only one in Virginia. And we go out there and we talk to them, find out what cuts they would recommend, and we take it to the event, and there you go. So what I just did is this is the onions that's been minced up, and we're gonna work on the herbs and then the garnish, and then we're gonna check on the chicken to see how it's faring, and then we'll keep going from there.
So can you tell us what type of herbs that you are actually getting ready to cut up?
So we're going, for our pan sauce, we're gonna put some rosemary, sage, and thyme into it. And then there's gonna be a little bit of white wine that's gonna be added to it with a little bit of butter. So you notice, like, I'm still putting things in back here in my trim pan, because I want to use this later for a stock. I'm not wasting anything, and we do this at clients' house too. If they allow us to, we will make other things for them to have later, because we don't want to waste your money. Essentially, you're trusting us to go out, find the best items, bring to your home, cook it. And then once we get ready to leave, nothing leaves your home, because all the food you purchased and we're leaving it there. But this is going to be a great stock. It's not going to be a big giant stock pot, but it can be like a couple quarts just of chicken, thyme, carrot, and onions for right now. And I think that's really it for this one. Then we're gonna dice these up here, and then we'll do the garnish. With the herbs, we're gonna get a little bit fine.
I would lose a finger.
Yeah, my fingers are already gone just looking. I'm like, okay, this is awesome.
And unfortunately, I have not invented smell-o-vision. I know it's a running joke. If you guys like, so right now the sage and the rosemary and the thyme, like I said before, but it's just bringing everything together. It just makes it smell like winter, fall. And that brings up another point. We do our menus to reflect the seasonal changes. We don't want to do anything out of season, if you will. Just because, again, going back to trying to help everyone save a buck, but have a good time within their home for an event. Because if you think about a lot of what we do and how we provide a service for everyone, is that, think about your average Friday night. If you want to get ready to go out and go to a restaurant, well, you have to figure out the restaurant. Then you have to drive to the restaurant, sit in I-95 traffic. Think about the menu. What are you going to have from that menu? Everybody's talking around you. Everybody's talking over you. So, people are coming up to you. Well, all that's alleviated by us coming into your home, doing restaurant quality meals for you, while you are there to enjoy your friends and your family, or even if just friends, or even just family,
Or just yourself.
or just yourself. Exactly. Anything for 2 to 20, I guess.
Right. And I can attest to that. But I think too, the thing that I always think about when you're going to restaurants too, I always feel like I'm being rushed to get out.
Right.
And
we had that recently.
Just recently, yes, we went to a restaurant. I won't name the restaurant, but we didn't even sit down 5 minutes, and every 2 minutes the girl's like, "Well, do you know what you want? Are you ready? Are you finished with this?" I was like, "Can we just go through the menu. I mean, we literally had not had time to even look at the menu. So that attitude makes you want to stay away from the restaurant environment, even though you do want to be supportive. You know, they got to make a living, and you know, people depend on them, but you get so sick and tired of feeling like that you're not being valued when you're sitting at that table.
I agree with you, Kevin. I'm just going to sneak in here and
Sure.
grab that pan for the pot. So, like you were saying, we had that recently at a restaurant we went to, and it doesn't matter if it's a chain restaurant or a local restaurant, you want to feel appreciated, and being able to be in your own home and having Chris come in and cook, and it's also about engaging, right? So you want to learn something. I think we all inherently want to be knowledgeable, and we have clients ask us about the food and, you know, is it bad for me? Is it good for me? We go to a restaurant, we really don't know what's going into that food unless they tell us.
Right.
Here, you're seeing exactly what is going into your food. You know, you can be health conscious. You can be considerate of your guests and what they need. You know, we had a wedding up in Maryland last summer, was it? It was in May, actually. And one person couldn't eat fish and another person couldn't have gluten, and these are things that we are able, as a small business and because of skill, to take into consideration, not sacrificing flavor, not sacrificing nutrition, and truly being able to help people with their culinary journey.
Exactly.
And you know, along the lines of being healthy and know where everything comes from, where your food comes from, and you know, the preparation that's behind it. I mean, so we're going to sit down and have, you know, what I would consider a restaurant quality meal, and everything was seen being prepped right in front of you. There's no hidden gems, if you will, into the food. For a really good example, everything that you just saw me do, these are the carrot stems, and they're going to be used as part of the garnish. So I don't need to, you know, go out and buy extra parsley for a garnish. I'm using something that's there, and I mean, it's like beets. The beet leaves, very healthy, very nutritious. Same thing with carrot stems. You can still eat those because it's part of what came out of the ground.
Yeah, and I guess too, the other thing I think about is that when you're going to the stores, you know, today everything is like, oh, you got to pay more if you want organic versus the normal.
Right.
And that's like, I remember growing up as a kid, we had gardens in our backyard. We could pull the carrot up right out of the ground and actually eat it. You know, we weren't getting sick. You know, our hormones weren't going crazy because of all the crap that they're putting on your food today. I mean, nothing lasts in your refrigerator. It just amazed me, you know, how you go out and buy lettuce or whatever that item is, and 2 days later it's brown. Because they're not allowing you to eat true organic vegetables, you know, for your body. And then, you know, you're paying all this money, and you got to say, okay, well, I got to pay extra money to get organic. I mean, like, really? Why?
Excuse me. So with us, so what we do is we shop at farmers markets, we shop at farms, and I know I've said this. We go to wineries to, you know, pair foods. We get into the farmers, and when I say we get into the farmers, we ask questions like, how are your cattle raised? I mean, I follow a local farm here in Stafford, Virginia, Hayfield Farm. They're down the road in Goldvine. Absolutely wonderful couple. They will tell you, you know, how long the cow was raised for, what is fed. You know, you can see, I mean, I hate to say, I'm not going to say I hate to say it. I will tell you, you know the difference between happiness and not happiness when you're eating. And when I say that, like how the protein was raised, or, you know, the care and the love gone into vegetables, where those were raised, you know, even if it's from, you know, your local farmer that you get at the farmer's market to, you know, California. There are differences within everything. So we're gonna check the puree, then we're gonna get ready to puree it here. We do need one device. China cap, aka Shinwa cap. And then we're gonna need
Mesh strainer.
Yeah, I was just going to say, AKA strainer, for those who don't understand the chef language.
Now, mind you, it took me a long time to know chef language, okay? But, you know, coming from a background of being in the infantry and being in military police, being in a combat zone, you know, there's a lot of similarities as to what I do when it comes to preparation. You know, we do mission planning, we do preparation, we do, you know, briefs, you know, we do pre-shift briefs, or if for us, I get everybody together, you know, my director of operations, the wife, she does back front of the house type things. I do back of the house type things. We're a veteran organization with family members, but we still do everything like we were still a green center. And I think it helps us make everything go round and round and round perfectly. Sometimes seamlessly, sometimes.
Nothing like living in the world of perfection, right?
So Chris, you mentioned about wineries and things like that will also go to.
So I'm gonna jump in real quick. So you can, what I'm doing here is I'm checking to see if the parsnips and the cauliflower are fork tender, where I can kind of mash them up. So what I'm going to do now is get that out of there, if you will. And I'm going to strain off the liquid that has from the half and half, and I'm going to pull the stems out of the rosemary and the thyme, and we're going to discard those because we cooked them in something else, so we can't put those into the pot. I mean, if you can't get them all, at least get the stem from the thyme, because you don't want somebody to bite and then it'd be fibrous. I'm gonna leave the sage and whatever fell off the rosemary as well as the thyme. I think we're good. All right.
Well, I'm glad that Chris can tell the difference between each one of them, because the average person is gonna be like, I don't know what that looks like after it's cooked, so it's all gonna stay in the pot. Absolutely.
Or is that the
No,
time?
yeah, I see it. I've been notified that there is a piece, right? Yes, I know. I'm sticking my hand in the pot.
In a hot one.
In the hot pot.
In a hot pot. Here we go. All right. So the reason why I did this is I wanted to separate everything from the cream mixture. So we discard that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull out this cool guy, and everybody's seen this on the Food Network. This is the coolest blender on the planet. It's called a Vitamix. This will turn a brick into puree if you allow it to. And we're going to take everything that's in here. Now, mind you, the only thing that was in here was half and half sage leaf, one sage leaf, rosemary sprig, and a thyme sprig. We're going to put everything into here. Put that there. Put that back. We're going to add a little, probably like less than a quarter cup. I'll say maybe a couple tablespoons. Right at the bottom. Lid on, start on the lowest, turn it on. Now you can see how it's starting to move around down the bottom, but some of it's kind of sticking still. We're gonna add just a little bit more cream. Because we want it to move around, but not a lot. Once it gets going, then you're gonna crank it up.
And if you don't have a fancy Vitamix at home,
If you don't have a fancy Vitamix, you can use a food processor and do the same thing. Or you can use a regular blender, just don't put as much in. Okay, so at this point here, what we're going to do is we're going to help emulsify the mixture. So emulsification is just bringing 2 items or 3 items together so that it won't separate or break. In this case, we're going to, we're working on healthy here. So we're not going to use any butter. If you're going to use butter for your emulsification, use cold butter. Like the colder the better, just not frozen. In this case, we're going to use the oil and we're going to drizzle some in there, and you're going to see, and when we get ready to plate it, how smooth it's going to be on the plate. It's not going to be clumpy. It's not going to be junky, if you will. So get your oil, whatever, olive oil, avocado oil. We use avocado oil in this house, and you can see how just it's starting to come together, but not too much. Turn off the pan here so I don't burn anything. So turn it back on, turn it up. Probably take about a tablespoon or two. You're gonna let it go for about 30 more seconds once it starts to grab. Turn it off, and now comes the first fun part of tasting. And then we're gonna season right after that for this, and then we'll probably call it done. Now, you saw the plunger before. This is it now. All nice and smooth. And I think that was Miss Kim in the background. Oh my God.
Yes, it was.
So we're gonna add some salt. Not a lot. It doesn't need a lot because salt is nothing more than enhancing the flavor. It's not there to, ooh, I need salt on my stuff. If you're doing that, like we use kosher salt because that helps bring out the flavor a lot more. Iodized salt, try to stay away from iodized salt as much as possible. And we're gonna let Kim taste. It's kind of warm. Please be careful.
Oh my gosh. Very good. I know y'all can hear me. You can't see me, but I'm back here smacking my lips. Love it.
Good. So now this is the remainder of the cream for your puree. Don't dump it in here because then it'll just run everywhere on the plate. Save this, cool it down, and use it tomorrow for your potatoes gratin if you want. And then you're saving yourself a buck also. All right.
I like that you're using half and half and not heavy cream.
Yes,
also.
half and half is I think in my mind is, it's everything in one, and it doesn't make it too thick. It makes it the perfect consistency in my mind. So now we're going to throw our carrots in. Let that go.
He's a talented one.
We're gonna let this sit here because it's nice and warm. It's not gonna be too long. Actually, you know what? Can you grab me the sauce pan?
I can.
And always clean as you go. That way it makes cleanup easier in the end.
So Chef, you mentioned, as I was saying before, about going to different wineries and all that good stuff. Do you have a particular pairing you want for dinner this evening? A white, a red?
So,
or would you like me to present you your options?
I think that's the director of operations' wife portion saying this is what we're gonna have.
Exactly. Exactly. I love it.
I'm making choices.
So honestly, you can go either way on this, but I'm gonna shoot for one of the nicer ones here. I think we're gonna do Chardonnay from Barbersville. We're gonna go that direction, and we're gonna keep that chilled while we're hanging out. So right now, I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that's kept it within 30 minutes. All we're waiting on is the chicken and the carrots, and we are pretty much done. And once we pull out the chicken here shortly, and we work on the pan sauce.
So you're referring to the hen as a chicken. Is it the same thing?
No, it is not.
See, now I didn't know this.
So,
Chef-wife problems. I don't know.
Cornish game hens were actually part of, came from England, and they were raised as part of the king and queens, and that's how they came to be, because they're small enough to have a portion size. They're not too big, because what I will show you is going to happen is we're actually going to cut the hen in half right down the breastbone, and we're going to plate it just like that. All right, so I'm going to grab the chicken, the hen, okay?
Yes, it is
So
now.
I'm going to wash dishes now because that's my responsibility. No. So let's grab the chicken here and see where we're at.
We're getting close to the end, everybody. So here comes that good chicken. So as soon as he brings the chicken out, we're going to let him cut it up, and then we're gonna start putting things on the plate. And then if you guys don't get to see everything, like I said, we will definitely we'll have pictures with this, because this is a process. Chris has literally made a whole meal in less than an hour. I mean, so, from the beginning to the end, every step of preparation, teaching you what you can use and what you should not use. So here we are about ready to he's taking a little look at this. I can see it from where I'm standing. Oh my gosh.
That looks so pretty.
Yes, it does. And you guys just have no clue. So I'll go ahead, Chris. I'll let you continue.
All right, so we're just temping the chicken right now, or the hen, excuse me. See, everybody's got me crazy all in here. All right. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this off. We're gonna let it rest while we get ready to do the pan sauce. And the pan sauce is nothing hard. Really, we're gonna, as soon as I can talk and cook it, see, I'm kind of using everything together. So take your hands, and we're gonna transfer them into the cast iron pan here, and I'm gonna do mine skin down, and I think, yep, it's gonna happen. Everything's falling off.
Even that's sizzling.
Yes,
that's
you can
so
hear it,
awesome.
yeah. And I noticed that you continue to keep the hen laying on upwards to the bone, because there's no bone, but if that bone had been there, it would actually be sticking up,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
So why do you do that?
So the bones actually have a lot of the flavor in it. I want that flavor to go down into the chicken. I want to keep that flavor with the hen, excuse me. I'm getting myself,
We know the difference,
getting
it's
myself
okay.
confused. So now what I got here is I have the mushrooms in the casserole pan and the jus from the hens, and what that looks like here is this. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. You see a little bit of the jus there. And now what we're gonna do is kind of bring this up to a boil, and we're gonna take our onions inside. And we're gonna start to get everything going. And I have another white wine that I'm going to use. This one's from Ingleside here in Virginia. It's also a Chardonnay. I'm gonna give it a little splash. And I'm gonna turn this up to a rolling boil because I want it to start to reduce down as fast as possible. Throw some of the herbs in there. Maybe all the herbs, you guys all do. And I'm going to microplane some garlic into.
So I think this is the coolest trick.
So what kind of a knife is that for one?
So this is known as a microplane. So this is a mini grater. This is a handheld grater.
Okay.
Used for zesting, or in this case, grating the garlic right into it. And this way I don't have to worry about trying to cut myself with a knife. Now I preface that these things are sharp. Okay, They will take a knuckle off if you're not, you haven't done it a few times.
But it's great because how many people at home cooking can sit there and mess with a little
Right.
tiny clove of garlic. This, it goes right in the pot. Perfect. Don't have to think about it.
I just dropped my almonds into a dry pan to get them to toast up. That's been going. Now, there we go.
It is smelling so good in this kitchen.
Okay, so that's reducing down. Got everything where we want it to be. We're gonna take a little pat of butter, just less than a tablespoon, and we're gonna drop it in here, and we're gonna bring it all together. And then what we'll do is let it reduce down for another minute or two. And if you can see, it's starting to thicken because of the butter. And then we'll turn it off here momentarily and let it sit for a minute, because we don't want to overcook it or reduce it down too much. And while that's going on,
It looks so smooth and
It
silky.
does. It looks beautiful.
I'm gonna-
I think we captured everything here.
So this whole meal has less than 2 tablespoons of butter.
Yes, 2 tablespoons of butter, and I think total 2 tablespoons of oil, and we use avocado oil for everything.
That's great.
Yeah, you can't.
Down here. So now you can see it's thickened up. It's gotten it's emulsified a lot more. We're gonna turn this off. Slightly move it off the heat. While that's going, going back to using a lot of purveyors, farmers, wineries, distilleries. So we actually have our mates custom made for different events. These ones are made from a very nice lady here in Stafford, Virginia, called Corgi Clay. She does phenomenal work. I love these plates. Yeah. Okay. So let's check the carrots. So now, typically what we do is during this time, we kind of have the same setup for when we're doing at a client's house. Everything will come together at one time and be prepared. We plate, we serve, we clean up, we clean, and we leave. Don't mind this mess back here because you're live. Normally, okay. So we will either have 1 or 2 of us, myself and another cook or another chef with me, and we all double up. Like, I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty, so I'll wash dishes while they're doing other stuff on their station. We'll have waiters, waitresses helping out, serving all the clients, pouring wine, drinks.
Everybody's multifaceted.
Yeah, everybody's multifaceted. We also, and I say all this, and I just want you to know too that we love when people have kids at events, because it gets us outside of our comfort zones, like mac and cheese. Okay, we're gonna make mac and cheese, or we're gonna do chicken fingers, or we're gonna do fish sticks, and just certainly there's like even little pizzas for them for their event, so they make them feel like they're part of the evening. Mm-hmm. Not you have to eat this, and it has all this craziness on it. So we don't want that to do that. Okay, so I was gonna do something. Oh, I was gonna check
the carrots.
Check the carrots. Good job, chef. Way to go. Let me check the carrots. We got everything.
We got something going on in the background.
Kim, what other questions you got for me?
I don't have any other questions. I'm just excited that, we have this opportunity to do all of this. And I just, like I said, really wanted everybody to be able to see what healthy looks like, but it doesn't have to look bad or taste bad.
It doesn't.
And like I said, this whole year is not just about holding on to resolutions you're going to quit in February. Let's have some resolutions we're going to keep all throughout the year.
Absolutely.
And understanding that this is a life change. So in other words, that's permanent. That doesn't necessarily mean you do it for today, like I said, and then you turn around and you're right back to cheeseburgers and French fries. Nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day,
there is absolutely nothing wrong with cheeseburger and French fries. I mean, it's cheeseburger without a bun, you know, and not just a cheeseburger. Like, do a burger with some sort of like fancy cheese with onion strings that are shallow fried, and you put an egg on top, dress it up, make a fiesta burger out of turkey. I mean, there's all sorts of things that you can do within your home. And if you ever need assistance, let us know. We do in-home cooking classes.
Wow.
We have gone to people's homes to show them, hey, these are the items that you have in your home. We're going to show you how to use them, or how to use a knife properly, because there's still people out there who don't know how to use a knife, or even how to whisk. And it sounds really crazy, but whisking's an art. You want to be able to whisk something to bring as much air into it or emulsify it, and there's a trick to it. It's called the 80. So you make a figure 8 and then a 0. Yeah, real fast. So all right. So I think the carrots are done. We're gonna pull those out, and we're gonna bring this whole plate together. I know it looks everything's in a different place right now, but it's all gonna come together here very, very quickly, and we're gonna sit down and enjoy the meal, and I guess.
All right.
Yeah,
sounds good. No.
So here are our carrots.
Oh,
that
beautiful.
Beautiful. There's a little bit of char, but you know what? That's called flavor. And it's
beautiful.
And it's delicious. So we're gonna put these here out of the way, and I'm going to reach into my bag of tricks here.
Oh, here comes the good stuff.
Can't wait to see the hen.
Yes, now we're all calling it chicken. Yeah, we know it's the hen. It all looks the same to me. he is cutting up those hens before he starts to plate everything. For those who are wondering what's going on, because it's so quiet in the background, we're all like intensely looking at him do this.
This is where the chef gets really quiet. It's like, oh boy, what happened?
All right. All right, Chef, do me a favor and look up when you're doing the plate so we can make sure that everybody can see you every now and then. We know you're intense, and I want to make sure they can see everything.
Now everybody just went, that's how that's done?
Yeah.
What happened?
Exactly.
Yeah. We're going to take the hen here.
Yes. And when the chef is done, we will definitely show the plate when it's complete. For those who are wondering what is going on, y'all, you can see him is moving around.
Yeah, it's orchestrated chaos.
I like that the pan sauce is just using the leftover juices from the hen, fresh mushrooms. There's no flour sitting in it.
Nope.
No, I noticed it. Yeah, and I love that. That is definitely noticeable.
Make sure everybody has some on their plate. And you go back around, do it again.
Kim and I will take seconds. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're like, yeah, don't get stingy, okay? We like our vegetables.
Yes.
And that's one thing about being healthy too. Everybody says, "Oh my God, you have to have French fries and blah blah blah." Like, vegetables are delicious, and it's just a matter of how you prepare them and cook them for everybody to enjoy. Yes, I know. Came right out of the oven.
Yeah, he's better than I am with
Yes.
the hands.
Look, there's a reason why they invented pot holders.
Yes, exactly. But hey, he is the chef. He knows what he's doing. Oh, this is beautiful. Just beautiful.
Gorgeous, chef.
Always gotta have the crunch with the toasted almonds. Last but not least, stems from the carrots for the green.
All right, so which one is your favorite, chef, of the 3 plates?
Actually, I think this is my
Yes, I was just going to say the
My
same
favorite right
thing.
here.
Oh, wow.
gorgeous.
Congratulations. It looks gorgeous.
Yum.
Oh, my gosh.
Yum.
Bon appetit.
All right. Great, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of 360 and Me. Thank you again so much, Chris, for taking the time out of your busy day to share your experience and the reason why you do what you do at Chris's Dishes.
Awesome.
I love you. I really do appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And I'll be hiring you again soon, so just be prepared for that. And for everybody else, you all have a wonderful day, and we'll be seeing you soon.